Hey guys, how y'all doing? Welcome to Faith in Football. It is August 17th on a Tuesday, and we are getting into comebacks and breakouts. What better song to do it than Danny Goki, The Comeback? Hey guys, I love this song. I love the message behind it. You know, just when they think they got you game, set, match, here comes the comeback. And today's verse, we're coming from Luke 24:17. Now, here's the thing, is that this talks about the resurrection of Christ. What better and ultimate comeback is there than from death? Nobody ever had come back from death like Jesus had. You know, he raised Lazarus. You know, he brought back the little girl who everybody thought was dead. He said, no, she's just sleeping. But to go through what Jesus went through, when he faced the cross, even though he asked for the cup to be passed from his hand, but he knew that he had a job to do. He knew that he was sent for a reason. You know, he did this for you and I. Make sure I'm reading from the right verse here, guys. So in verse 17 of chapter 24 of Luke, we see that this is after Jesus has already been resurrected, and the disciples have heard that, you know, he's risen, that he's gone, that his body isn't there. And Jesus appears to them on the road, and he asked them, what are you discussing so intently as you walk along? They stopped short, sadness written across their faces. Then one of them, Cleopas, replied, you must be the only person in Jerusalem who hasn't heard about all the things that have happened in the last few days. And Jesus asked, what things? The things that happened to Jesus, the man from Nazareth. They said, he was the prophet who did powerful miracles, and he was a mighty teacher in the eyes of God and all the people. Now, we go down a little further, and we see where Jesus appears to the disciples. They're all eating, they're hiding out because they're scared of the religious leaders that put Jesus to death. And he pops up and says, peace be with you, like out of the blue, just boom. He's in the room. They got a locked door. He comes in, peace be with you. He said, but the whole group was startled and frightened, thinking they were seeing a ghost. He asked, why are you frightened? He asked, why are your hearts filled with doubt? Look at my hands, look at my feet. Can you see that this is really me? Touch me and make sure that I am not a ghost, because ghosts don't have bodies as you see I do. See, here's the thing. There's a lot of other religions out there that have leaders, that have prophets. You know, Buddha has a grave, okay? Other religious leaders, they have a grave. We as Christians have the cross and an empty tomb. How awesome is that, guys? There is nothing that we cannot overcome through Christ. I want you guys to remember that as you go out in your day. I want you guys to remember that whatever you're going through, whether it be sexual addiction, whether it be a drug addiction, alcoholism, doesn't matter, okay? Jesus overcame the greatest thing that could possibly be overcome, and that was death, okay? There's nothing other than death that you can come back from, okay? There's not another level. There's nothing worse. That's it. That's fine. Okay. But Jesus came on this earth to where death is not final for us as Christians. Death for us as Christians is just the beginning of an eternity with Jesus Christ. How awesome is that to look forward to? You know, growing up, I always heard people say, well, you know, they're in a better place. You know, somebody passed away, they were suffering from cancer, you know, they suffered from a heart attack, they suffered from whatever they were ailing from. And we'd always hear people say, oh, well, they're in a better place. Well, here's the thing. They weren't wrong. You know, they're in the best place that you can be in heaven if they were Christians, if they believed in Jesus Christ. Here's the thing. Do you believe? If you don't, I encourage you today to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Just admit that you're a sinner and that you need him, that you believe that he lived and died on the cross for your sins. Ask him into your heart and you shall be saved. Now, look, I'm no pastor. I'm, no expert on the Bible, but I do know this, is I do know that the Lord leads me, directs me, and I know that I fall short sometimes. But I also know that as a Christian, we have forgiveness and we have God's mercy and grace. So if you'd like that, please, down below, leave a comment. I would love to talk more with you about this. So I hope that the inspiring thought that death is not the end, that we have a Lord and Savior that has overcome the greatest obstacle in our way. I hope that that's comforting for you today. So on that note, let's get into today. We're going to talk in comebacks and breakouts for your fantasy draft. Okay, so we did the faith part. Now let's hit the football end of it. Okay. Yes, I do have my bang back. So got the wild watermelon again. And today we're not going to be doing a mock draft. We have a little time restraint today, but we will be talking 2 breakouts and 2 comebacks from all positions, or I'm sorry, from quarterback, wide receiver, running back, tight end. Like, tight ends are really, really hit and miss, and they're kind of obvious. I'll just breeze over them real quickly here. Kyle Pitts, everybody knows that that's a potential breakout. As far as comebacks, look, I would name Gerald Everett going up to Seattle as a comeback. He gets an upgraded quarterback. And we know that Seattle tight ends traditionally have done very well with Russell Wilson. So there's a couple right there. Now, as I said, once you get past the first 3 or 4, possibly even 5 top tight ends, it's a guessing game on anybody. And I don't care if you're in the industry, if you're not, you're basically throwing darts to the wall. So once you get past Kelsey, Kittle, Waller, Hawkinson, and Andrews, there's pretty much whoever you want, and just basically whatever position or whatever situation you think is going to be best. Robert Tonyan is a possible candidate because of Aaron Rodgers coming back, so something to keep an eye on. But if you look back, and I have, if you look back at the numbers, there is very, very little difference between, let's say, the tight end 7 and the tight end 20. Okay. If they score, the tight ends 20 scored like 1 more touchdown, they would be in the top 10. That's a big difference when you look at the perception of those players. So real quick, we're going to get into some notes of the week. some news that's happened. There was a lot of football. If you missed some, sorry, you need to go back and watch it. And here's the thing about preseason ball. You're not going to get a lot of answers about your starters, okay? You're not going to see these guys in any kind of long-term playing time. They're going to be protected. They're not going to be risked out there. What you will get answers on is maybe how the team plans to use certain players, mostly how they plan to use the backups, which is going to help you in the later rounds, and maybe clear up a few questions about these running back committees that we have. So a few things came out this week. Miami had come out and said that they will be using a three-headed monster at running back after the game. So again, with Miami, I'm not comfortable touching anybody on this roster. Gesicki, that means you got to trust Tua. Any of the wide receivers, you got to trust Tua. And we just found out that Alan Hearns is having surgery. He's going to be out. Waddle has been dealing with injury. Devontae Parker has been dealing with injury. So these guys are banged up already. How much can you really rely on them for your fantasy league? Yes, I get it. If you want to take a flyer on them late round, no problem. We're talking double digits. But as far as to lean into any of these players, not doing it. I'm not having it. Gaskin was awesome last year. Ahmed in relief when Gaskin got hurt, he was awesome. But we're looking at three guys that in Miami that are going to be getting touches equally from what we're being told. And this is something that you want to keep an eye on throughout the season, because there is a possibility that one of them separates from the pack and kind of makes it difficult for the coach to go, you know what, we're going to stay with this three-headed thing. They're going to, at some point in time, it's very possible for one of them to stand out. But which one it is, your guess is as good as mine. Bruce Arians came out and said that he doesn't expect Tom Brady or many of the starters to start against Texans. Against the Titans in their preseason game. Favorite of mine, David Johnson. I love DJ, but he is being relegated to a backup role right now in Houston. So let's see what happens with that. Let's see. Good news for the Bills and for the Vikings. I'm putting this two together because these are basically the guy who one guy replaced and his replacement. Talking about Justin Jefferson returns to limited practice after his shoulder scare, and Stephon Diggs. It's being reported that his knee injury still lingers, but they are not concerned. Here's the thing about any news coming out in preseason. You really can't put a lot of stock in it. This is something that you really need to pay attention to whenever you hear about big players. And remember, I told you earlier, when you hear negative come out of camp, then you want to pay attention. Everybody's talking about the Dak Twitter comment came out on the Cowboys Twitter page, their official team Twitter page, not like some intern threw this out or anything else, but they started this thing. It's not a setback, it's not a concern, but Dak's going to have another MRI. Okay, and like, you don't need to tell us it's not a concern if it's not a concern. Okay, this is one of those things where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm not trusting the Cowboys. And it's not just because I wear this or I root for them, but this is history, okay? Jerry Jones will do whatever it takes to keep his boys in the limelight. just like there are on Hard Knocks. You're going to see, if you watch Hard Knocks, you're going to see who runs this franchise, and it is not Mike McCarthy. The head coach, is basically just a figurehead. It is Jerry Jones all the way, nonstop, 24/7. He is the motor in this machine, and the motor is off the rails. Okay, so let's see. DeAndre Swift is dealing with a groin injury, but he is eyeing a return to practice today, as a matter of fact. On a defensive note, Jamal Adams and the Seahawks have had talks on a massive contract extension. He wants to be labeled as a defensive weapon, not as a safety. We'll see how that one goes. One that is kind of swaying me a little bit, and you're going to see in my rankings or in my list right here. Melvin Gordon is dealing with a groin injury. He ain't no spring chicken, and Javonte Williams was drafted to replace him. Don't fool yourself. This is his replacement. Okay. They let Phil Lindsay go. So I do believe that if Melvin Gordon has the smallest hiccup, that he will be out, Javonte Williams will be in. Let's see. Curtis Samuel has returned from the PUP list, so I'm happy about that. Washington did release Lamar Miller, so that running back room is clearing up a little bit. This is not really that big of news, but it is something that popped up. Anthony Miller of the Texans did suffer a slight dislocation of his shoulder in the preseason game versus Green Bay. They're waiting on an MRI to get a further evaluation. And this is not the first time that he's dealt with a dislocation of his shoulder, or a dislocation. Yes, a shoulder dislocation. He dealt with some of that while he was with the Bears. All this does is make Brandon Cooks that much more valuable for whoever is playing quarterback for Houston. We don't know yet. We don't know what's going on with the Deshaun Watson stuff. If you're doing your draft here in the next couple of weeks, something to keep an eye on. And it's going to be really, really hard to draft Deshaun Watson. Will he play? Won't he play? Who will he play for? We don't know. But we're going to call that the end of the news, and we're going to get into our list. So we're going to start out with comebacks. And this first one, hold on one second, guys. Sorry about that, guys. Had to take care of a little something. Every time I guess it's just this room. It keeps it. My studio is really, really chilly, but that's because the rest of the house has to stay cool. Yes, I record these from home, so welcome into a little bit of behind the scenes here at Faith and Football. So this first one on the comeback is not a big surprise. Everyone is picking this one. I can't leave him out because he's just so dynamic, and that is CMC. There's nothing new here. There's nothing you haven't heard before. He is the overall number one consensus player. Look, as long as he's healthy and he's on the field, he is going to be a league winner for you. If you have the number one, maybe the number two pick, if somebody wants to try to get cute with the number one overall, then you will get CMC. If you're anything past second, if you get CMC with a third or fourth pick, you will probably win your league, because the guys who are drafting 1, 2, and 3 have no clue what they're doing, or they're trying to get too cute and try to be too smart for their own good. Okay. Don't complicate this. If you have the number one overall pick, just go ahead and take CMC. Look, nobody can predict injury. You could not have predicted what happened last year. I myself tried to get a little too cute with it, and I took Saquon. See how that one ended up. But the number 2 pick, also kind of got bit by the injury bug. They took CMC, and CMC wound up being out with the exception of those 3 games. And even when he came back, he was dynamic in those games. So he's got a new quarterback. They still have the same system. He's still going to be the security blanket for any play that breaks down with Sam Darnold. So nothing new here. Move on to number 2. Zeke, and it pains me to have these many. I've got 3 different Cowboys on this list, and it absolutely pains me to have this. But it is what it is, and I can't leave these guys out. I can't let my personal bias affect my information for you guys, because I know some of you out there could be Cowboys fans, and I'm praying for you. Okay, fix it. Jesus, fix it. Make them turn from their evil ways. Okay. But seriously, Zeke, he is a volume back. He is what their offense runs through. Tony Pollard is back there. Basically, it's just really an annoyance at this point. As long as Zeke is healthy, he will spell him. Now, here's the thing: is that Pollard does have fantasy value if you're in a deeper league. Also, if Zeke gets hurt, Tony Pollard automatically skyrockets to a full workhorse back. So if you want to have Tony Pollard, if you're not the Zeke owner and you have Tony Pollard as a handcuff, then you're basically hoping for injury. And I would recommend you hold on to him for no longer than like maybe 4 weeks to see how things pan out. You don't want those handcuffs clouding up your roster when you're coming to the decision. Okay, do I keep Tony Pollard or do I pick up a guy who's really blowing up on the waiver wire? Don't pass up a maybe for a definite. Okay, you got a guy who's blowing up on the waiver wire, who's just having an outstanding year that nobody saw coming. Go ahead, go get him. Okay, don't let your hope that Zeke gets hurt make you want to hold on to Tony Pollard. Zeke is falling in a lot of drafts. He was being drafted in the middle of the first. Now it's the back end of the first, possibly top end of the second. He's still an outstanding running back. Can't believe I just said that. But he's still a really good fantasy player. Plus, if Dak stays healthy, then they're gonna have to guard against defenses. Are gonna have to guard against the pass, which opens up the run game. Now, for quarterbacks, of course, Dak, but health is a huge concern. We don't know what's going on. We don't know how healthy the shoulder is because during preseason, they don't have to be honest about the injury. That's just the way it is. This stuff's good. He's got the weapons. Last year, he was on an outstanding, like otherworldly pace. Maybe could have wound up being MVP last year if he had kept his pace up. We don't know how the ankle is. We don't know how the shoulder is. And because of the shoulder, everybody has just taken for granted that the ankle's cleared up. We don't know. This is preseason. He doesn't get any playing time. What we see in camp, the things that are tweeted out, what we see on Hard Knocks is all edited. Okay, it's what they want us to see. Okay, it's kind of like the news. We get to see what they tell us. Okay, we don't get to see everything. We don't get to see behind the scenes. We don't get to see when the cameras are off, how much he's wincing, how much he's, favoring this or favoring that. And I heard one report where they think that the shoulder injury came from overcompensating because he's not 100% on the ankle. He makes a throw different way. His arm motion's out of whack. You never know. Matt Stafford. Look, Matt Stafford's my next one. for a comeback. And I know it might be weird to say a comeback for a guy who's been in the league as long as Stafford has, but he finally gets a chance to prove that he is an elite quarterback, or that he at least can be an elite quarterback. He's got the weapons. He's got the coaching. He's got the defense. So I think that Stafford can really come back and be the quarterback that everybody has seen the potential in him, as long as he stays healthy. Okay, we know that Stafford has had injury concerns in the past, but we're willing to overlook that because of the amount of weapons that he has around him. He doesn't have to do everything, especially with Cam Akers going down. Yes, they're going to lean a little more on Stafford, but he's got the line. He's got the defense. He's got the weapons. He's got the knowledge. And he's got a offensive coordinator and a head coach who are capable of calling plays to make him shine. Brandon Ayuk. Look, we're looking at second-year breakout for Brandon Ayuk. Last year he was a rookie, and on this show, my boy Chet, what's happening, said, keep an eye on this guy. He's something special. Last year he proved, with all the injuries to San Fran, that he could be the guy. Even when Deebo Samuel came back, even when George Kittle came back, he could be the guy. He can handle that kind of volume, okay? He was wide receiver 33 last year. This year, I think he can make that next jump, whichever quarterback he has, whether it's Jimmy G or whether it's Trey Lance. I think that he can jump to that next level. Another guy, Cooper Kupp. Last year, Cooper Kupp wound up as wide receiver 34. He wound up behind a rookie. This is Cooper Kupp. Everybody remembers Cooper Kupp back in the day when Goff was actually a decent quarterback. He's got an upgraded quarterback with Matt Stafford. Now he gets an opportunity to prove that he hasn't lost anything, that he still got it. He and Robert Woods are both going to make a huge leap with Stafford at quarterback, okay? So that's my comebacks. Breakouts this year, and it might be really weird to hear a couple of these names, but the two Ryans are my quarterbacks for breakouts this year. Tannehill and Fitzpatrick. And you might be going, wait a minute, Fitzpatrick's been in the league forever. How is he a breakout? Here's the thing. This is the best team he has ever been on. Okay? They have the most weapons. They have the best defense. He's got the best opportunity. There's nobody behind him. Who's he going to lose to? Tyler Heineke? Come on. It's going to be Fitzpatrick. He's got Terry McLaurin. He's got Antonio Gibson. He's got Logan Thomas. They brought in Adam Humphries. Okay. If you saw the little bit of passing that he did have, there was a play where he had a wide open Adam Humphries, and he said, nope, forget this. I'm going deep, and I'm going Terry McLaurin. Awesome pass. Love it. Love the gunslinger. This is a guy that you want on your team. I'm not saying that you want him as your starter, but you definitely need him if you wait later in the draft to get somebody that maybe you got questions about. Okay, maybe if you take a Dak and you need a backup, Fitzpatrick ain't too shabby. Now, Tannehill, look, he added Julio, plus they have a new OC. I'm not saying they're going to steer away from what's been working for him with having the play action with Derrick Henry. He's a beast. He's a game changer. They're going to stay with him. But I do believe that he does have the capability this year to make a big jump in fantasy. Last year, I think he wound up as like quarterback 7. He could jump into the top 5 this year. Now, the next guy, CEH. Yes, I said it. Last year's hype could be this year's truth. Everybody remembers last year. He was being taken in the first, second round. I said last year, that's way too high for a rookie, okay? He's not going to have the workload. He's not going to have the volume. The team that he's on just has way too many targets. This year, this is a guy, remember, this is still a first-round talent. This is still somebody that they traded up to go get. This is somebody that their starting quarterback that they signed to a 10-year deal wanted. They're not going to ditch him after the year one. They're going to find ways to get him the ball, especially if there's injury to either of the big two, which is Tyreek Hill and Kelsey. If either one of those who have dealt with injury in the preseason, either one of those go down, CEH has a chance to break out. Okay. Next guy, Javonte Williams. He could have a slow start, but if Melvin Gordon struggles, this guy is going to blow up. Okay. For a wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, but look, this is solely based on Dak staying healthy. He is 100% dependent upon Dak. Okay. Yes, he did put up okay numbers with Andy Dalton, but Andy Dalton ain't there. You got Ben DiNucci. Ben DiNucci, guys. Come on. Let that sink in for a second. My last one of the day, scary, Terry McLaurin. Look, he gets a vast upgrade at quarterback, but last year he showed that he could put up good numbers even with poor quarterback play. Now he gets a guy. Remember, Fitzpatrick is a Harvard grad. You think he's not smart enough to figure out what to do? Plus, he doesn't care. He's been in the league long enough. He's fine being a backup. He's fine taking his shot. He's going to do what he wants to do, and he's going to do what it takes to win. He wants to get to a playoff game, and this is his best chance, and he knows that Terry McLaurin is going to take him there. So there's my list of comebacks and breakouts. Down the bottom, subscribe, like, and share. And don't forget Zia of Lafayette off of Duce Road behind the Ambassador, or behind the Johnson Street Grand Theater in front of Red Laurel's. If you go down and you tell them Faith and Football sent you, you get your free appetizer with purchase. Okay, guys. Also, don't forget Keller's Bakery. If you got a sweet tooth like I do, I got a sweet set of teeth. Go down there, tell them that Faith and Football sent you, get you 2 free mini cupcakes. Look, get a dozen donuts while you're down there. They are delicious. And don't forget about their pies, their cakes, king cakes. Awesome. Find them on Facebook. They do take orders there as well. They're at 627 Lafayette Street off the Youngsville Highway. Go check them out. Tell them Neil from Faith and Football sent you. Guys, it's been awesome. Till next time, God bless. Stay safe and take care of each other.